The views and opinions expressed on this station do not reflect the owners, management, staff, clients, or partners. Medical House presents Bermuda's most viewed and listened to talk show. The Daily Hour starts now.
It's Tuesday, the 20th day of October. Welcome to the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House. I'm Jamal Hartman along with Carla Zul and Sherry Lynn Pringle. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you haven't already, share the link. This should be a song by now. Share the link, start a watch party, just get the conversation out there to your network. We're going to find a way to make that a song very soon.
Make it a household jingle.
Something, right?
Yeah.
Another good one for you today, as we have one of Bermuda's most brilliant minds, Dr. David Chapman, stopping by. The daily play is a remember when, so hopefully Shari remembers the question and answer that Carla and I have to answer. If you watch this show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're not going to let her live that down, right?
Obviously, you aren't, because that happened so long ago and only happened once.
All it takes is once for us to come on, Carla. Come on. All it takes is once, right?
Well, yeah, we won't let you live down something once.
Yeah, I'm used to it though. Why is Carla finding so much joy in
It's not me for once. So.
Subject to change. We can switch it up real quick.
We're throwing this term once around a lot right now. But no, welcome back to the show, everyone. I have to share this. So I had a conversation with Carla last night, and I was a very disturbed individual yesterday afternoon into the evening. It's still on my mind. Why are you laughing, Carla?
Can I tell the story? So we were trying to sort out something for the show, right? And he's like, yo, I've got a vent. So I'm like, I bet you I know what you got to vent about. That's how often we talk, right? And he's like, nah, you're not got this one. He goes, I went for a 90-minute massage. I was like, nice.
Wow.
But the masseuse talked for the entire 90 minutes about her cat and other things that just did not matter. And he said he wanted to tell her, shut up. I'm like, why you didn't go sleep? So he came back from his massage more annoyed than before he went in. I think he should get a refund. I think he should report her, but hey.
I would have told her shut up. I would have had to have told her shut up. But I always fall asleep in a massage, so it doesn't bother me because they can keep going on and on. I'm snoring.
Me too.
Every time I was heading there thinking that she was done, it was my father is Italian, he's an immigrant, so Trump offends me and all this.
Oh.
And I say my dog's not in that fight, but it just amazes me. Like people, I'm a black guy, right? By skin complexion, so you feel like you can say what you want politically. You're in a space, you don't know me, I'm a client. Why are you even talking about politics to me, right? Then this is no offense to Smudge and the rest of the cat family out there, but I don't care about your damn cats. You feel what I'm saying? Like I'm there for 90 minutes of relaxation. Why are you talking to me for 90 minutes?
So I have a solution for next time you go. Have some beans. Lots of beans. Look, what did you just say? All it takes is once.
That's not relaxing for me.
No, she'll stop talking.
But you do need to let the establishment know and probably garner yourself a free massage, because she's gonna do that to the next person and the next person. If nobody says anything, I'm going to show up there and she's going to do it to me, and I'm not going to be happy.
Here's the challenge I have, though, right? And I think this is why I probably don't fit the culture of Marge's list. right? That's what it's called, right? Marge's List.
Or People's List.
Yeah.
People's List is not that dramatic. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
haven't seen as much. In fairness, I haven't seen that much drama. But I say this because I'm literally not one to reach out
Right.
to people's employers. I just don't like that. I would rather tell that person, look, you know, because I still gave a $25 tip. I was just like, how do I tell this person that's not cool? You know, that's not how you should be rocking. Because if
Jamal,
Mhm.
you could have did this. This is honestly, this is what I would have done. Once she saw chatting past a certain point, I would have been like, sweet, I just need silence because this is my time to regroup. Thank you. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. And then I would have went sleep. Just tell her you're paying.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I felt sorry halfway through it where I just felt like I couldn't say anything. And I just kept feeling like she's gonna shut up now. She's gonna shut up. You know what I'm saying? You just kept feeling it. And then before you knew it, it's like, okay, turn over. And I'm like, looked at the clock as I turned over. This lady's really gonna do this. She's really gonna do this. And she did. I don't remember the names of her children and cats, but I just
Shame on you. You paid 25. You paid an additional $25. You should remember that.
Yeah. I must say though, right? I must say that, and this is serious on this note. I have to find a balance because, as you both mentioned, it's like, do you go to a person's boss, or when you're in that, you're paying money, right? So you deserve and expect a certain level of service, and you expect what you're paying for. But as a person, I just do not like people going to somebody's boss. Like, even if it's people work, like, I don't like that. If you're messing with people's livelihood, but there's
more reason why you should have said something to her.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You've lost the opportunity now to go to her. You actually have to go to her boss or whoever's in charge, because you need to try and get that free massage. You no.
I'm more important, honestly. I feel like I should have said something because the next person, right, may not be as kind. And I know I'm not the first person she's done this with. You know, I'm not that special where I'm the first person you've spoken 90 minutes through.
But being fair, because of the pandemic, maybe business is just picking up and she was just so excited to have a client after so long. Maybe, I'm just saying. And so she wanted to just gush.
Yeah, she did have that conversation with me. She did speak to me about how difficult it's been being in this business, and you know, started telling me how she started applying for jobs in different country clubs and so on. So, you know, maybe she was trying to develop a rapport.
How was the massage, Jamal?
I was gonna ask, was it worth it?
Was it worth it? Was it worth not saying anything? Would you go back to her if she was going to be quiet and have that same massage?
I would go back to her if she didn't say a word. However, my experience with her, even though the massage was good, makes me not want to go back. Right? Oh, and to answer, Jackie asked a good question. I started to ask her questions. I did, because when I was just like, maybe she just wants someone to talk to. Now, let me share a good story with you. I was in Bermuda last December. My mom was in the hospital. So I went to Bermuda on a real quick trip. And I went to one of the local hotels to have, well, he had a drink. I had a sparkling water, of course. But we went at a bar and, you know, spending time with a close friend of mine, right? And I'm going to leave this up what Jack is saying, because this friend of mine, we were sitting there trying to have, you know, guy talk, you know, share what's going on in each other's lives. And some guy, I think he's a Portuguese gentleman in Bermuda, sat next to us and just start talking our ear off. So we never got to have our conversation, whatnot. So when the guy finally got up, like the night was over, and my boy says to me, he goes, you know what? As annoying as he may have been, right? You never know what someone's going through. And he may literally, that conversation could have saved him. And so my boy went a step further. He goes, because I think it may have been a suicide in Bermuda around that time last year, like November, December. And my boy shared this story with me. He says, sitting around a group of friends the other day, and we were talking about suicide. And he said to me, that one guy in the conversation said, look, man, it was times as a teenager, I felt like I wanted to end it. And then I thought about, well, how would he feel and you feel and my friends and my family and my mama and so on, and decided again. And so there are kinds of things where Jacka's question is important, folks. Like, did you ask how she was doing? And I did. Like, I asked her, so are you okay now that you're back to work? I did ask those questions because it was like, although it was annoying, I said, okay, maybe she needs someone to listen to her. And so she's trying to get out of me a bit of things to make me comfortable to have this conversation. However, in all seriousness, I just feel like 90 minutes of that in a space where I'm supposed to be going for relaxation probably isn't the best.
And she should have known better, because hairdressers are taught you're not supposed to talk over clients' heads. Usually when you get a massage, it's the music, it's the zen and everything else. She should have known better. Maybe the first 10, 15 minutes, maybe, but then she should have been like, and just rubbing and whatever masseuses do. So.
Here's Renee Sherlyn Simmons says, tell them directly, like Carla said, not being rude, just please, I like to relax and sleep, so I'm going to sleep okay. Have you watched me on this show? Everything I say comes out rude.
But I was gonna say, I'm surprised you didn't say anything, because
I really am too.
You know,
Lady Devin, I don't want to hear about your cat. Shut up.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to change my behaviors towards people and things. So this gentleman says, did you tell her about TDA? No, because I wanted to talk about it on her. Maybe I should have told her so that she can chime in this morning and just understand what she probably should not do on her next appointment.
I just thought about something, which is a kind of a balance. People are huge on Google reviews or TripAdvisor, so maybe go and write a review and just simply say, I had a great massage, or whatever the massage was, but I would have appreciated it if my masseuse did not talk so much. And you don't have to say my masseuse Jenny or whomever. And hopefully they review them, look at them seriously, and it invokes a, listen, guys, remember when you're servicing your clients, please don't talk.
I agree with you. But
TripAdvisor is a great place for that.
Yeah, I know people that are very much into reviews, and I think that probably is something that I'm going to consider doing. But real quickly, Shari and Carla have said what they would have done. What would you all have done, folks? Like, I want to, would you have just stayed there? Would you have did what Carla said she would have did? Or, trust me, I think Carla would have swung on her, right?
I took anger management classes.
Okay, she wouldn't have swung on her. She got help with that. But no, Bobby's saying is hilarious. That's why I like the ones that don't speak. I mean, honestly, I love it. And so she says this because the barber I go to, South Florida, it's pretty much a Spanish barbershop, right? Spanish speaking. And so I'm probably the most quiet person in there because, they speak Spanish and I don't really, I don't. So it's one of the most relaxing places for me to go, to not have to communicate with someone. Like, I talk for an hour with her. I don't want to talk everywhere I go, believe it or not. So maybe I'll have to find a Spanish speaking masseuse. That may be the solution, Bobby. I would have went sleep after a while, just tune out. It was hard. I tried. Like I almost felt myself mid, right? And she just kept going. Like, I think when she thought I was falling asleep, she would restart the conversation. Charles believes Carla is a lover, not a fighter. Nighttime jam. So
there you go.
Baby Rocco says, I've had that happen and I started fake snort. She got the picture. See, I'm gonna do that next. I'm just gonna let myself go. I'm just gonna and by the way, happy belated to Kamal Levrock. I believe he missed his birthday yesterday. One of Bermuda's best. Renee Dill says, I would have put my finger on my mouth and said, shh. And you guys, you know what? At one point, no lie, then there was like a brief 2-second silence. I was like, is there, the music, how they have the massage music in it? I'm like, and I heard it and I'm like, peace. And she just started right. And it was like less than 2 seconds.
But did you answer her after a while, or was she talking to herself? Did you feel obligated to answer her?
I was drifting, and what I tried not to answer was when she started going politically, especially. But it just didn't work, guys. Like it you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do what you guys suggested. What I'm gonna do is, because again, I don't look people when it comes to people's livelihoods, and most masseuses actually are not full time. They pretty much sign up and work at different companies. That's how they make the money. Some of them do it as a side hustle. So what I'd like to do is, I don't want to experience her again, but I'd like to send her a personal message to say, my massage was great, but if I happen to come next time, I think it'd be a great idea if you done less talking and just let me relax. That's probably the most diplomatic way I can say it.
Like I get you a free massage.
But you messed up. I'll tell you where you messed up, though, respectfully. You messed up in giving her the tip. Because when you gave her that tip, especially a $25 tip, you told her that her services were awesome.
Yeah.
You messed up. Like according to experience.
Let Carla get to the news so I could try to get some peace and feel a bit more relaxed by the time we come back with Dr. David Chapman. Like I said, another good one for you today. If you've read any of the Wealth Building Cycle, seen any of his workshops, we're in for a good conversation. So hopefully everyone can take something and learn from this. Carla, are you ready for the news?
I am. I'm going to talk about cats for 90 seconds.
Oh my goodness. Don't do it to us.
Speeding has soared in the wake of the COVID-19 lockdown, a road safety campaign and doctor recently warned. Joseph Francione, an orthopedic surgeon, told the Royal Gazette he would absolutely back a return to old-fashioned deterrence with police equipped with radar guns on a regular basis to catch speeders in Bermuda. He said the average speed has gone up tremendously. For whatever reason, in the last 6 months, everyone is going faster. Dr. Francione added, I gather from my friends in police that we have had a decrease in collisions. 5 deaths this year is attributable to the pandemic. But he warned, if people keep speeding, we are going to go back to our norm. Dr. Francione emphasized his comments were unrelated to 2 fatal crashes in succession last Thursday and Friday nights, as the circumstances were still unknown. Big-hearted staff at the Mid-Atlantic Wellness Institute were praised by a patient inspired to call to keep sharing kindness in the wake of Mental Health Awareness Week. The woman who asked the Royal Gazette not to name her said the nurses at Maui made Mother's Day gifts for her to boost her spirits while she was treated in the hospital after a breakdown. The woman added, I suffer from depression and bipolar, and I think it's the pandemic that set it off. The woman, who said she had never had inpatient treatment at a mental health institution before, checked into Maui in May after fears for her survival of her business and the stress of COVID-19 worsened her condition and propelled her into a total breakdown. She said she became suicidal and had avoided taking medication after she tried to keep her mind occupied with online learning while her business was forced to close, and she, along with family, had to stay at home for the month-long lockdown period. Meanwhile, CNN reporting President Donald Trump's election endgame argument, far from bristling with new solutions to a pandemic that has killed over 220,000 Americans, it devolved into a campaign of insults against Dr. Anthony Fauci for telling the truth about the disease. Trump ridiculed Fauci as a disaster and an idiot who had been around for 500 years, trashing one of the nation's best hopes of easing the pandemic, along with his recommendations to quell an alarming COVID-19 surge. His personal warfare against Dr. Fauci on a frenzied day on the campaign trail, while indecent and questionable from a strategic political perspective, revealed how the U.S. government effort to beat the pandemic has been suppressed in the service of Trump's re-election. Okay, guys, who's your favorite chef? Real quick.
Are we gonna say Marcus Samuelson or something?
No, mine's is Damian Simmons. He works at Cocoa Reef. Who's your favorite chef? Just a question.
Sherry.
Okay. Jamal's mine. I can have no cheese, no this, no that. Just a lovely glass of water. October 20th is International Chef Day. Going out to restaurants is one of people's favorite activities because they get the chance to taste the best cuisine from the chefs who work behind the scenes. International Chef Day is for them and is probably one of the best opportunities people can get to learn how to cook and connect with chefs in their area. It's also a great opportunity to teach kids how to cook and inspire them to become chefs. Let's discover where it came from and what International Chef Day is all about. Turning to weather with a mix of sun and clouds, the high today in Bermuda is expected again to reach 81, 67 in Boston, Massachusetts, and 62 in Cardiff, UK. Don't forget, Medical House is your number one source of PPE supplies, masks, face shields, disinfectants, sanitizers, glove gowns, no-touch thermometers, and so much more at the lowest prices. Visit Medical House today at 22 Millridge Lane in Pembroke. And on a programming note, don't forget to tune in to the 4100radio.com tonight for nighttime jams featuring some of your favorite romantic classics. That's your Daily Hour news break.
I definitely have to get to Cocoa Reef to try Chef Damian Simmons. Everyone seems to be talking about him, so I will make that a priority the next time in Bermuda. Thanks again, Carla, for the news break. We will have Dr. David Chapman joining us after this short break.
Good day, Medical House Store speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products.
Anything that we ask them to do, they come through.
These same professional quality products are available to you for home healthcare.
If we can use them, we definitely do so.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It also has restaurant uniforms that stand up to even the toughest shifts. If you're on your feet all day, Medical House has comfortable and stylish shoes that are also durable and easy to clean. Everyone needs some help cleaning up, and Medical House has got it. Leading-edge janitorial, facility, and maintenance supplies are all here. Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
Humans have been harvesting the tuna fish for over 2,000 years, probably first from the Mediterranean, casting nets from the shore. The ever-increasing demand for tuna reached its highest point in the early 1950s, and the catch statistics reflected a saddening downward turn in the tuna population. Modern seafood companies like Crown Prince have responded by driving initiatives which increase sustainability of the schools of one of the world's favorite fish. Try Crown Prince albacore tuna in water. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. Carla Zul, Sherilyn Pringle, myself, Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House and Lindo. Don't forget, we're on channel 82. If anyone knows someone who doesn't have access to the internet, check us out on channel 82 via One Communications, throughout social media on our Facebook channels, Twitter channels, Twitch, and YouTube. Without further ado, let's bring in Dr. David Chapman to the conversation. Sir, good day. I don't know what time of day it is where you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. How are you?
Greetings, Tenastalin. Peace to you all. It is about 12:20, 12:24. Right. Same, I believe, as Carla Zul.
Okay. Look, I don't assume I know where people are these days. When we send the time, I just say this is what time it's going to start in Bermuda time. Only you know that. So thank you.
Greenwich Mean Time, they call it.
So it's GMT?
That's what they call it. We could dispute that on another day, but you know.
Thank you for doing this. I don't have to apologize to you like I do others for being so early in your day. But anyway, thanks for doing this. Now, I want to touch on something. I said I'm going to go back a bit, not even this year. When I was made redundant, you and I had a lot of side conversations, and a lot of what you were saying is, okay, you lost your government job. Now what you going to do? And you kind of challenged me without challenging me in terms of using my skills to do what we did. And I kind of kept you in, what I was working on. And you did come on one of my podcasts that I ended up doing at the time. And then this year, I put a post, I think 2 days ago or yesterday, about how instrumental you were in kind of the Daily Hour being what the Daily Hour is. And I actually speak to a couple people about it, and I said, he doesn't know this, and that's probably the first time you would have seen it. So, do you remember sending me a link for Paul Carrick Brunson?
No. Oh, recently this year.
Yes, back in March, April.
Yeah, probably, yeah, because that's somebody that I've been tuning into. So I sent the link to certain people. I might have, and the thing about when you watch him, you see other people on the link. I believe I'm seeing Carla on the link. I'm not sure, but I definitely have seen Tammy Richardson. Certain people are in sync when it comes to listening to him. So possibly I could see myself doing that. Yes.
So when I was made redundant, you sent me these links about Boyce Watkins, I believe his name was one. You sent me a bunch of people, and then you sent me this. And I say that because you mentioned seeing Carla. I remember sharing it with Carla. So it has to be the sense of community. We have to share the information that people are giving us, and then you see us, more and more of us, making decisions based on that kind of stuff. So I say that because Paul Carrick Brunson, of all the people you sent, was one of the most influential people in terms of how we're doing things that we do now. So I am grateful, and I just want to let you know from that perspective, when you send these links out to people, it is bettering the community, is helping our community, because there are 100 and something people watching this right now, and hundreds more that will watch later, that probably don't even know that a lot of this, that the production and everything, simply came from you sharing knowledge that you were willing to give. So we thank you for that before we get into the conversation.
Thank you. What you're doing is called reciprocity, and it's a core principle to life in general. So it's about give and take. The more and that's an important principle in my book, The Wealth Building Cycle. I bring it up right at the end because it gets into obviously some of the esoteric understandings of wealth and so on. But the whole idea, you see it in ancient literature like the Bible and other different parables and stuff. The whole idea that, and if you want to receive, then you have to give, and that's very, very important. So I thank you, and I congratulate you and Carla, and now Sherry Lynn on the platform. Is very professional. It's very excellent. Really, it's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's jump into the conversation. So look, there's a lot going on. I went back in March when you sent me the link. We were just at the top of being shut down, economists being, pretty much wiped out, people, reports of deaths all over. But what are your thoughts on the current economy and the challenges globally?
Well, I'm an educator, I'm a teacher, so first I can speak to it from that perspective, in particular in regards to young people. So I have children who, my daughter just turned 23. Boy, she's not a little girl anymore, but that's the reality. My son is 22. Also, myself and my wife, she has her own children. So he just went 18. And so these young people, this is the type of climate that they're facing with. And one of the core messages, the reality is that those people with skills, whatever that particular skill may be, are faring better with the economic turmoil that's being faced by many around the world. And not only that, I mean, when you look at the wealth building cycle, which I'm going to speak about, as much as I can during this short time I have with you, I separate the cycle into two halves. The left half is the consumer, and the right half is the producer. So when you can be a producer, which is what you're doing right now, which is what I'm doing, you will always be in a better state, a better economic state than when you are a consumer. Okay, that's a fact of nature. Okay, so most of these principles, when we look into nature, they attest for themselves. If you are able to produce, you're going to be more successful in the long term, okay, generationally, than if you're just a consumer. So having a skill set is very important. I'll stop there.
All righty.
Dr. Chapman, you frequently denounce materialism. What is the most valuable lesson that you've learned that you think the everyday man does not grasp when it comes to materialism?
I put something up recently on my social media and see if I can remember it. It said something along the lines of, we need to first stop going out and just getting the things we want so that we can, I'm trying to remember how it is, so that we can better, sorry, I got you, so that we can get the things we need so that in the long run, we can go out and get whatever we want and need whenever we want it. In other words, materialism and consumerism, again, comes from the left-hand side. It's a side that's actually not driven by you. There's a very, very good documentary that I recommend people go and watch, and it's called The Men Who Make Us Spend. Very good. It's a 3-part series put out by the BBC. And it shows that a lot of the spending habits and a lot of the materialistic lifestyle that we tend to live, consumerism lifestyle that we tend to live, is actually not driven by us. I'm pretty sure that, most of us who are in this particular field of, sharing information, the information field, stuff like that, it's all about marketing. And one of the core principles of marketing, unfortunately, is sometimes trying to convince people that they need or want something that they actually don't want or need. Okay? So materialism and consumerism, the first point to that is that we have to understand that a lot of it is not actually driven by those things that you need or even want, or quite frankly, things that are not even good for you. Okay? And 2, we need to understand in order to get the things that we actually want and need at will, we need to be able to control that, i.e. delayed gratification over instant gratification, which is extremely hard because we're taught that from childhood, from birth. We're taught about things like Christmas and the materialism that comes with that, what should be really a celebration of, more spiritual, esoteric principles. We're taught that around all of the things that we give meaning to. So all of the holidays are now not really to do with the holy part of it, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether it's Halloween, New Year's Eve, whatever you think of, Valentine's Day, all of these things, whether you look at it from a European perspective, historical perspective, they all had some sort of deeper meaning to it. Whether you want to celebrate it or not. I'm someone that's not into Valentine's Day in that way. I understand the history of it, but the foundation of Valentine's Day really is about love, and there's something positive in there. But really, all of that's been taken over by the consumerism and the materialism that goes along with, obviously, making money. And that's very dangerous because what it does is it actually robs us of the ability to get the things that we truly may want and need that might fulfill our passions and our purpose.
Okay.
I just want to say, like, I legit do not like holidays for that very reason. Consumerism that drives it. Like, I would rather get people what they need when they need it rather than to be driven commercially by whatever, the season or moment is. Like, it's too much. And I think it's one community that's seen as the main consumers, which it impacts detrimentally most. Sorry, Sherry.
No, that's okay. Dr. Chapman, your book, The Wealth Building Cycle, provides 5 essential steps needed to start the journey towards building wealth. Which step is the most important, and share why?
I've just added, I'm looking forward to I'm basically rewriting the book now, because obviously when you put out a first publication, there's lots of things that you might miss or things that you learn, so on and so on. And now it has actually become 6 steps. I don't think it will go across there because these steps are not contrived, and the book wasn't contrived. The book was a encapsulation of how I actually dug myself out of the hole that I found myself in when I was 40, or getting to the age of 40, that age when you start to look not just backwards, but you start to look forward at time. So in terms of what's probably the most important step, well, again, I can refer to the 2 halves. When it comes to building wealth, there's a slow side and there's a fast side, and both of them are important. But in terms of if I had a genie and I could rub a lamp and make that genie pop out and say, okay, can you give me the secret to this? The most important step is the entrepreneurial side. Okay. It is the production. The apex of production is when you're able to produce something that meets others' needs that they find value in, aka like the Daily Hour, aka like Carla's production that I commented on. Can you remind me of what it is, Carla? It was the website She Hub. Is it She Hub?
Yeah, shehub.tv.
Shehub.tv. So,
and thank you.
Yeah, well, it was excellent. So it's these things that actually come from the inside of us, innovation, innate intuition, all those I words, that if we can now find that nexus point where it meets people's needs, that's the most important thing to building wealth. Wealth is not comparative, it's relative. And that's very important. So because of the materialism and the capitalism side, consumerism, we tend to align ourselves with wealth principles by looking at what other people have. And really, we need to get away from that. Obviously, we want to try to build up the grain store. Okay. In other words, we want to try to accumulate wealth because in the long run, that gives security, not only for yourself, but for your partners, for your family, your future generations. But we cannot do that by looking at what other people have. And that's another important principle as well, because very quickly, if if you didn't manage to save a dime this year, but next year you saved the dime, then that's progress. And that's how we kind of have to look at things. Okay.
That's great. You have started several of your Facebook posts with "You cannot spend your way to success." Can you explain that?
Again, that's that materialism. Without getting too personal on it, but that's something that I've had to make sure that I rein in myself. It's something we all have to do. There's a difference between spending and investing. So, for example, I'm about to put out a new book, not the Wealth Building Cycle Part 2, but a new book. It's called Don't Block His Brilliance, a handbook of top 10 principles to empowering the brilliance of boys of African descent. In order to do that, in order to bring that vision forth, you need to invest in it. I've had to, invest in obviously editing. I've had to invest my own time, artwork, all sorts of things have to go into producing that. And that's likewise with any of my book series that I've put out. But that's a difference than spending. We all like a treat. That's very important to treat ourselves. And one of the keys is making sure that in the process of building wealth, that you do not deprive yourself. Wealth building should not be deprivation. If it is, it's going to be counter to your efforts. Wealth building should be done in a way, a method in which you're able to set realistic goals to build your wealth, but at the same time, you're able to go out and get the things that you may want and need within reason. And that's where spending comes in. You cannot spend your way to wealth. You cannot, for example, say, I just put a story up the other day. I was walking home with a colleague, and not home with a colleague, but walking home. And the colleague happened to go that same way. And they lived close to where I worked. And they were pointing out their car that they had purchased. Very nice car, top German brand. And they were saying how they don't really use the car. All they use it to do is to go shopping. And that's a perfect example, that really, that's something that person really didn't need. But yet, they felt that they wanted it. And so that's an example of spending rather than the whole idea of investing. Invest in yourself. Very important.
Indeed.
Great. How would you advise those impacted by the pandemic, especially in the face of an economic downturn and loss of employment? I mean, you're speaking about wealth building, but when you're facing these things, it's really difficult. So how would you encourage or inspire someone?
The inspiration has to come from the inspiration first. So it's about mindset first over everything. I talk about, and I've mentioned earlier on this talk about the esoteric and the spirituality behind wealth building. Books like The Richest Man of Babylon. The foundation of the principles of wealth is all to do with energy. That's what it's all about. It's all to do with energy and currency. We don't have time to really go into those higher discussions about it. But for anyone that's struggling out there, in terms of going forward, one of the keys is understanding that the reality that we have is what we create. Okay? The reality that we have is what we create. That doesn't mean that things are not going to happen in your life. However, I'll give you a quick story. If you were standing in the middle of a field, okay, and I told you you were quite secure, this field was infinite, nice grass, just solid ground. And I said to you, close your eyes, and I could magically now make the field around you, the ground around you, disappear. Okay? It's only when you open your eyes that you would have that fright of the field having moved, the solid ground having moved from around you. If you had your eyes closed and there was nothing to tell you that the ground had fallen out from in front of you, then you would think that you were still standing on solid ground. That's the difference between someone that does a tightrope walk and are quite calm, and someone that is a bag of bones when they do that. It's all mental. So we need to get the mental side of things right. Every morning when I wake up, I chant 13 affirmations, which you can find on my website. I chant 13 affirmations. One of them, only one, is about wealth. The other is about abundance. The other one is about prosperity. And we need to understand that the abundance and prosperity, the energy within the universe is unlimited. And we can obviously manifest that unlimited energy as well. That's where it must start with. Mindset.
Now, excuse me, Dr. Chapman, let's go back a quick step. Explain, for those who may not know, what does esoteric mean?
Esoteric just refers to hidden. It's an English word, I guess, for the hidden, the things that are unseen. So a lot, you might have one school of thought, because I am an academic, but at the same time, I tend to align myself with things that maybe many in the academic world will call pseudoscience. People will tell me I wear a tinfoil hat and all sorts of stuff I've been kind of labeled with, especially when I have discussions with my fellow teachers who are, Cambridge educated physicists and so on and so on. But it's always lighthearted. So esoteric refers to the hidden, the unseen wisdom that a lot of times we may not consider because of the type of world that we're living in predominantly now, which is a Eurocentric, Western, materialistic world, rather than an inner world based on energy.
Thanks for that. Now, let's talk about the pandemic from the health side of it. You've done many posts where, to me, you denounce that there's actually a virus. So you speak frequently. Yesterday, you said how this person was wrapped up from head to toe in gloves and plastic, etc. So to me, I would say that you don't believe that it exists. Why do you take this position despite people dying all over the world?
Knowledge is power. Okay. So when I can speak about the numbers, we can only go on what's presented to us. That's our reality. If we allow media, meaning the media, social media, or whether it's the broadcast media and so on and so on, to manifest our reality for us, then a lot of the emotions and energies that are brought forth in the media become real. So for example, and they might not actually be real. So for example, my daughter, she may watch something and then she might say, "Daddy, I don't want to sleep with the lights off because there may be monsters." She would have only learned about those monsters from some image or some idea that has been put into her head. It's the same thing. When I look at the media, because I have an ability to decipher the information and the knowledge that to break down the numbers, I can first realize that there's an agenda when it comes to, and when I say media, I mean, my brother Io often gets offended because obviously if you're in the media industry, I'm not trying to paint everyone in this particular, in this one sort of idea, but there is a history of the mainstream media, one, being controlled, and two, peddling fear as a way to sensationalize their content. And when they sensationalize their content, it means people tune into it more. Me and my wife often have a debate where in the mornings I say, let's not have the news on, but the news is informative. So it's like, which way do you go? So in terms of the virus directly, the human body in particular, we're talking about human organisms, we have what's called a virome. This virome, which is like a biome, is made up of, studies have shown, up to 50 to 90 different viruses that live within our body at any one time, depending on where we are, what we eat, so on and so on. Many of these viruses will be harmful if the body did not have the correct balance that was associated with it. Okay, the coronavirus, the COVID-19 coronavirus, if everything that they're saying is true, this is just another virus. And as I said, we can only go off of them, what they're saying, because I'm not the one doing the research in terms of looking at the in the petri dishes of what's going on. But if this is true, then we can only go off the research, which says that 95% of the people that will contract or be in contact with this virus will not only survive, but they won't even show any symptoms. Okay, and that there is a 5% of people who may start to show symptoms, and a very small number that will become seriously ill. That does not match with the paranoia that many are showing, and many of the regulations, including in Bermuda, which I spoke out against, where there is basically, if they want to use an R number, statistical number, the R number is close to naught. But yet, when I was there over the summer, some of the restrictions were more restrictive than what was in the UK, and the R number there was just under 1 at the time. So we have to call out the hypocrisy, and that's what I'm about, calling out the hypocrisy and not peddling fear in terms of people's mindset and people's health.
So you obviously you believe the virus is real and it exists. You just don't agree with how we're responding to it, based on what I'm hearing.
Well, people, when it comes to a virus, from the studies that academics have done for decades now, coronavirus is a particular strain or a variety of a virus that does exist. I mean, that's that's something that people have been living with for quite some time. It's the specific syndromes. So as we said, things like SARS, things like MERS, that may come with particular strains of these coronaviruses that is quite concerning. And when you watch that show, the documentary that I just put out and promoted, called the Men Who Make Us Spend, I wasn't even watching it in regards to that, but they actually started to talk about the germ propaganda that companies like Listerine and Curex specifically put out there in order to make people fearful of things that are just generally part of everyday life. And so we need to be careful of what is actually commercialized, and or at the same time be mindful of some of the things that, for example, what's happening in Manchester now, the Greater Manchester Council, is coming out against the UK government. This isn't me. They're coming out and saying, listen, the statistics you're showing, they're just not true. They're not factual. So what's up with that? And I'll finish with this. This is something that I can speak. I don't want to jeopardize my personal position, but I'm a teacher. I work in the UK, as my profession is a teacher. And I would just tell you that if this particular issue is so concerning, then teachers who are being asked to do things that other professionals may not have to do would really, really have to reconsider their positions. And I'll just leave it at that.
Got you. Real quickly, want to go to the audience. They are the reason we do this. A couple of people were asking how to purchase the book, and Terry Too Cool also asked, what's your website, how to connect with you to learn more?
The book can be purchased off of Amazon. You just go to Amazon, type in the Wealth Building Cycle, Dr. David Chapman, and the book will come up. You can connect with me more. The best way is on Facebook. That's my chosen platform that I tend to put out a lot of stuff. And there you'll find also the website. It's called the Living Roots Center for Science, Health, and Education. And on that website, I have the ability for people to purchase a ebook sort of PDF version if they don't want to purchase the hard copy. And as you said, I also have lots of free stuff on YouTube as well, on David Roots TV, where I basically go over the wealth building cycle in detail. Because what it's about, it's as I said, I cannot be a hypocrite. The abundance that's out there is not limited. So really, it's about getting the information out there so that we can try to improve the generational wealth. That's what it's really about, Jamal. And as you know, it's more so about what's to come rather than what we can get right now.
Indeed. Let's go back to the audience. Quite a few things coming through. James Birch says his numbers aren't correct, and even if we use his numbers, letting 1 to 3% suffer because, oh well, their bodies can't handle it is problematic. I didn't
think I gave any numbers, so I don't know what numbers he's talking about.
Okay. Let's see. Another one. I'm hearing the rest of the message, but pointing out this particular issue. Okay.
Tell him send us some numbers on the chat.
Yeah.
COVID-19 is a very emotional and a very controversial issue at the same time. And so I'm not meant to be disrespectful to anybody that has lost loved ones due to COVID-19 or has been personally touched by it, who works in the industry. None of that. We have to try to speak about the issue, but at the same time be open to opposing points of view.
Indeed. Dr. David Chapman, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by, have this conversation. We will share your stuff on our social media so that people can learn more of what you speak of or what you stand for. And please know, if you'd like to come back, the door is always open, especially with your upcoming project as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See you guys.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. David Chapman there. Yes, we're not going to take a break. We're going to continue the conversation, but thank you to everyone who, not as many questions, a lot of comments that came in. Wealth building is so important to our community, us as a people. And I think to touch on what Dr. Chapman was saying about consumerism, like, we are legit, folks. Like, they say Black people, I mean, I don't have numbers in front of me, but it's been said by many people, we are the biggest consumers in many places, right? I don't see that as a problem as long as we were the industry owners as well, but we're not. So we have to change something somewhere for the benefit of us and our people. So I definitely agree with that. Carla.
I'm ready.
Sure.
This one is so easy, and I just had to give it to you easy today. And I know you probably knew it even before I say it. In 1971, Calvin Broadus Jr. was born. Who is
Snoop
he?
Dogg is your dog. Wow, yippee-yo, yippee-yay.
I mean, how easy were you trying to make that?
Because I'm cognizant of time, so I wanted to give you something very easy and make you leave feeling a lot better than your massage.
That was insulting, Sherry. That was insulting.
I mean, for Carla to get it that fast, I mean, she didn't even just rolled off her tongue. But speaking of the Snoop D-O-double-G, right?
Did he say snitch? Did he say snitch? Snoop?
I said Snoop D-O-double-G.
Oh, I thought you said snitch Snoop. I thought you was throwing in some shade or something.
No, I'm not doing that. Look. No, I don't know who watches this show. Get back to him. No, I'm not doing that. But when I look at Snoop, and because we're speaking about wealth building, I don't know if you guys have heard him speak about what Master P did for him, but like how the difference between Suge Knight and Master P, like where Suge Knight took from his rappers according to Snoop, versus Master P said, "How much do you need? 20,000. All right, well, I'm giving you 50. Go take care of your family and build on this." So it's interesting how like different leaders took care of their people, and that is important for the wealth building cycle and our community as a whole. I just really hope conversations like today's one are very helpful. We need to have them. It's like when we had Teresa Stewart one. Like we need to grab this. I legit cannot stand holidays when we like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, oh, flowers, or Mother's Day, and it's like we're just so caught up on spending money on every occasion. We are, and I just don't. I cannot comprehend how people literally fall for these traps every freaking holiday. Every holiday, you can do what you want, but at the end of the day, you doing what you want. Just understand that it's those places where people will say, "Well, you are in control of your own destiny or financial situation." So when that time comes to need something, remember you went and spent. And I'm a firm believer in spending on people when they need something, not because it's some damn holiday.
Right.
I don't care what love language or any of that says. Like, come on, man. Like, we have got to be better.
I agree.
I was always told by my nephew, and I always said, you look at the man downtown in the suit. You think that's a different suit every day or the same one? Look at what the man downtown is driving, a station wagon. Then look at what is driving, a BMW. Simple stuff like that. And the example he gave about person purchased he didn't quote it brand, but we can assume we know what brand the car it was. Big German brand. And they're walking the majority of the time, only uses the car to get groceries. Well, that's for show. No?
When I read that yesterday, because he did say the brand, it wasn't that, but he spent, I was like, wow, they use the car just to buy groceries, an expensive car like that.
Yeah.
My car just passed its 16th year at TCD. And you know what? Every time I drive around and I see people with new cars, and I go to a certain location and everybody has a new car. And I say, you know what? It's still running. It's 16 years old. It may have more dents and cracks and things to it, but you do have to pick your battles and
indeed
spending your money.
Indeed. Let's go to some comments. We have a few, and then we'll get some final words from you guys. Kathy Brumby says it's the indoctrination. Amanda Kelly, I totally agree. We tend not to invest in ourselves. At 18 years, I invested in NTB, BOB, Telco, and Belco. Remember Telco and Belco? Those are the times. Any final words, Sherry?
I just really want to extend condolences, especially to my family who will be laying to rest. My cousin Damon Simmons today. He was one of the two fatalities, and then also the family of Omar Wilson, who was the fatality 24 hours before my cousin Damon. So I just want to extend real condolences and just wrap everybody up with love and
indeed condolences from us all. Carla?
Daily inspiration. Being rich is having money. Being wealthy is having time. Nancy Bonanno.
That's big right there. Rich and wealthy, the difference between the two. Any final words, Carla?
Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Just a beautiful day. Oh, can't say much on that. I can't top Carla on those two things, but you know what I say. We appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, Carla and I will be back tomorrow, and we have a guest, the chair of the Chamber of Commerce, Kendra Burgess. So make sure you tune in, set your dial. We'll be back. Hopefully, Carla is not singing and she's reading the lyrics tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in to The Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House. All recorded episodes and highlights can be found at thedailyhour.com. Stay connected with us by following us at The Daily Hour on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.